But just tonight, on the very eve of the revelation, we've gotten the disturbing news that the Trump White House has had the guts of this report in its hands for days. The New York Times issued an explosive new report tonight, revealing that Justice Department officials had numerous conversations with White House lawyers about the conclusions made by Mr. Mueller in recent days, according to people with knowledge of the discussions. The talks have aided the president's legal team as it prepares a rebuttal to the report and strategies for the coming public war over its findings. The fact that those conversations occurred raises serious questions, of course, about the propriety of the Attorney General's decision-making, especially after he issued that 4-page letter last month. And this all comes after the president himself broke the news today that Attorney General Barr will hold a press conference tomorrow morning to address the special counsel's report. The president announced the Attorney General's press conference. Think about that one. Trump also suggested he might hold one of his own. Let's listen.
This should never happen to a president or to this country again, what took place. And you'll see a lot of very strong things come out tomorrow. Attorney General Barr is going to be giving a press conference. Maybe I'll do one after that. We'll see. But he's been a fantastic attorney general. He's grabbed it by the horn.
Well, he knows what those strong things are because he's been briefed. He's got the guts of the report already in hand. Well, minutes after that interview, the Department of Justice confirmed to NBC News that Attorney General Barr will speak at 9:30 tomorrow morning, and that he'll be accompanied by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein. And now we're learning that Congress won't even see the report, the Mueller report, until Barr has wrapped up that press conference. So the people the report was written for won't get to see it till they put their spin on it and massage the hell out of the report. And that's according to Congressman Jerry Nadler, who tweeted moments ago that, quote, DOJ is informing us we will not receive the report until around 11 or 12 tomorrow, after Barr's press conference. This is wrong. Well, the release of Mueller's report tomorrow comes nearly 4 weeks after the special counsel concluded his investigation and turned over his findings. The hope is that it will not only shed light on Trump's strange relation with Russia, of course, but that it will explain why Robert Mueller decided he could not exonerate the president on obstruction of justice. How strong is the evidence that Trump obstructed justice? And what is the new evidence that the Attorney General alluded to in that letter of last month? I'm joined right now by U.S. Congressman Raj Krishnamurti of Illinois, who serves on the House Intelligence Committee and also the Oversight Committee. Caroline Frederickson is president of the American Constitutional Society for Law and Policy. And Raj Day is former senior White House and DOJ official. Also, we got Peter Baker, chief White House correspondent at the New York Times. So I've got to go to Peter on this. You guys are breaking a hell of a story, but the fact that the president has been getting this, the main thing to worry about, I'm sure they briefed him on what to worry about. He says some strong findings coming tomorrow. Do we know what that is that they delivered to him, what the scary stuff was?
Well, that's the interesting question, right? We can watch the tweets and the comments that he's made in public in the weeks since the Barr letter went to the Hill. And then the question is to interpret from those. What do those mean? The fact that he originally said, I want the whole report released. I've got no problem with it going out. And then for days he would say, why do they even need to see the report? It's over. The Democrats are just trying to make hay. That indicate that he knew something more that was causing him concern. Obviously, these bottom line conclusions that Bill Barr has, delivered to the Congress are not the whole report. And the question is whether the details that are in there tell us something new we didn't know about, and whether or not Mr. Mueller explains more fully the conclusions that Bill Barr has represented.
Well, what about Barr's, I think, slippery, I'm not going to say slimy, but slippery statement to Congress last week? I haven't briefed the White House on this, and then going ahead and briefing the White House the minute he's out of the door of the Congress. I mean, you don't say I haven't, but I will. Well, you would do that if you were telling the truth. But you tell him not doing it is making the presumption out there you're not going to brief him, and they did. Peter?
Yeah, I think it would have been reasonable for senators and to expect that what he was saying was he was not planning to do it, although he didn't specifically say that, and that this is going to cause a lot of ripples on Capitol Hill, especially among Democrats who are going to ask questions about what he was telling the president. I imagine it'll be the first question or one of the first questions he might get at tomorrow's news conference at 9:30 in the morning.
Congressman, what do you make of this whole thing? I don't like the whole looks of it. First of all, we get a 4-page memo from the president's appointee as Attorney General, his pal, who got the job by saying, I believe in a very strong executive authority and all the right things for Trump to hear. And then he could have released the summaries, at least, from the Mueller report. He chose not to release the summaries. Why not? And now we find out he's been briefing the White House for days. He's not going to give even a copy of the report to the Congress people until he, Mr. Barr, the Attorney General, the president's guy, has put out a statement tomorrow morning explaining what he thinks. Again, his version of truth, not the truth. Your thoughts?
I find it unacceptable. I mean, all along, folks like Chairman Schiff and Chairman Nadler and others have saying we need to see the unredacted Mueller report, at least for members of Congress. We want the Mueller genuine draft, as it were. And here we're going to have color-coded redactions. I hope it's not a rainbow of redactions. But I think folks like myself will be going and trying to find those executive summaries immediately, because we know that the prosecutors, who also apparently talked to the New York Times and other outlets, said that they crafted those executive summaries with the notion that they would not be redacted for any of the categories that we might be concerned about. And so that's one thing we'll be looking for. The second thing is any counterintelligence information. So information that might not rise to the level of a criminal conspiracy, but it might be information that could be used by Russians or our adversaries for purposes of leverage or exploitation with regard to government officials here. And then the third and final thing I'll be looking for, among other things, is simply that evidence that was on both sides of the obstruction of justice. If we're not able to find that within the report, then we know for sure that large portions have been redacted that should otherwise be shared with the public. In any case, Jerry Nadler is armed with subpoenas, and the subpoena power has been granted by his committee, and I expect that he would probably use them if we see, some of these red flags pop up immediately.
Well, I think the Attorney General is going to be fighting those subpoenas anyway as part of the president's team. That's what it smells like already. Anyway, the revelations about the Justice Department's conversations with the White House lawyers comes after Attorney General Barr refused to say last week, as I said, whether his department has briefed anyone at the White House on the Mueller. Let's watch him cover the story here. Cover up the story.
Did the White House see the report before you released your summarizing letter? Has the White House seen it since then? Have they been briefed on the contents beyond what was in your summarizing letter to the Judiciary Committee?
I've said what I'm going to say about the report today. I'm not going to say anything more about it until the report is out and everyone has a chance to look at it.
Well, the congresswoman who asked Barr that question, Nita Lowey of New York, joined me on Hardball that night. Here's what she said of that exchange.
It was very clear for me that this report was reviewed by many people, including those in the White House. Look, if the Attorney General said he consulted with the White House, do you and I really believe that they kept it secret from the President of the United States? I don't believe that.
Caroline, what do you make of this? This special gift to the White House of a couple days of briefing to help them put together their trashing of the report, basically.
It's pretty outrageous. It brings to mind two things. One, that they've been paying a lot of attention to the college admissions scandal, and they realize, just like those parents, that your kids will do better when they get the test results in advance. But the second thing, and I think much more important, is that this is an incredible violation of our checks and balances system and an incredible insult to Congress. We should all be offended that this White House is coordinating with the Justice Department in what seems like another act of obstruction to impede a very important investigation into whether and how the Russians affected our 2016 election and what they're planning for the next election.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.